I don't know, like, she's out there. You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigar.
Don't be an asshole today.
Hello.
All good?
Yes, all good. All good.
Okay, so
Here we are.
we are packed. I'm ready.
Yes, that's right.
Coming to you.
You are leaving on a jet plane tomorrow, right?
No,
Wednesday. I'm sorry, I'm a day ahead. Wednesday.
Yep. Katie was just here for her instructions and all that stuff. And I'm done packing. Gemma's upstairs finishing. And yeah, so tomorrow just a regular day, gonna get a good night's sleep and be up at the crack of ass.
I like being, although I never am ready a complete day ahead of time, but I like that notion that you can just relax now until it's time to leave.
Yeah, just a lot of like puttering, a lot of like puttering, refilling things, making sure everything's okay, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
nothing crucial.
Nothing crucial. So behind you, I see that we have Ari, the critical lesbian that you found. Ari is her Instagram handle is the critical lesbian, and she just has all these posts where she's just kind of giving an opinion on a lot of topics, and it's amazing the way this is taken off. So let's put Ari in the room and find out what this journey has been like.
I am so excited about this because she has reminded me of so many movies I forgot about. Hey, welcome. Welcome, Ari. I'm JD. This is Denise, my co-host.
Hello.
I was just telling Denise I was so excited to find you because you have reminded me of so many movies I haven't thought about in like years. Desert Hearts being one of them. And I rewatched it this weekend because of that reason. So,
Great movie.
I've been just like mulling over. And I am enjoying every single bit. I just need to know, is this how this took off? Like you just decided one day, I'm just going to put my opinion out there and talk a little bit about this. And the handle critical lesbian is fantastic.
Thank you.
You're like reviewing, you're not criticizing, you're reviewing, you know, but
Absolutely.
it's so I fully expected that you would be like, you know, throwing some zingers and some barbs out there, but I love what you're doing. And I right now, my favorite one is the Subaru.
Yes. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, that actually, it's just there's a longer version of that on TikTok because TikTok was really how I started this. Instagram is very, very new for me, but I've been doing it on TikTok for a couple years. So the Subaru one was like an abbreviated version of it's the one on Instagram is an abbreviated version of it.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So people can find you more so on TikTok.
Yes. Yeah, I would say I'm definitely more active on TikTok. I really got started because I work in theater. I work in the theater industry in the DC area, and during COVID, there wasn't a lot of theater going on. But I've always, since I was a teenager, I've always really watched a lot of like lesbian movies because, you know, I'm a lesbian, and it's something that my friend showed me the movie Imagine Me and You when I was like 15, and I was like, aha, this will now be my entire personality. So from since I was 15, I've always kept a list of like lesbian movies I watched. I really wanted to be like the person to tell other queer women where to find these movies. And so in 2020, not a lot of theater was going on. I wasn't being creatively challenged in any way, but I was really annoyed that a lot of queer women were like recommending the same like 6 lesbian movies on TikTok. And I'm like, there are so many more. You fools, there's so many more out there. If you only
Yes.
knew.
Yes.
And so I started just making videos about movies and TV shows and plays featuring queer women. And that just kind of started this whole new side of me in which then I became just, I call myself like a lesbian media enthusiast. But yeah, I talk a lot about lesbian media and also just like lesbian culture. Yeah, because I think, and critical lesbian is very intentional, because to me, it's not about being critical in a negative way, but rather I think that lesbian media and lesbian culture doesn't have as much like, intellectual criticism around it. And I think having that brings a little more legitimacy to it. So like I'm the critical lesbian, and that like I want to bring more analysis into lesbian media and lesbian culture.
Yeah, it's true, because, and I don't know for sure, but I feel like we kind of tiptoe around it, because, we're walking on eggshells, because on one hand, we want to see more,
Right.
and on the other hand, if we say something bad, or if we say this, this didn't feel real, or this didn't
100%.
whatever, then
100%.
you feel like, oh my God, someone's gonna see this, it's gonna go viral, and I'm gonna, and it's gonna seem like I'm, shitting on lesbian cinema,
Denise,
Right.
exactly. You 100% get me, 100%, because I don't want to be mean, because like they're like a lot of these films are like very earnest, so like I don't want to shit all over them. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast.
Oh, yes, of course.
I focus more on like the ones that I really like, or the ones I think are worth watching, and very little am I like, I think this one's actually pretty bad. But it's more about like promoting the good that's out there.
Yeah, and there is so much good.
Oh yeah, and when I found you, because I was scrolling and one of your reels came up, and it was the one where your wife was crying about fried green tomatoes.
Yes. Yes.
And did you see that one, Denise?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so funny how you did that. And then I'm like, well, what is this? What is this page about? And I scrolled a little bit, and I just, like I said, first of all, you reminded me of movies I hadn't thought about in years.
Mhm.
I hate to admit it, but I did see Desert Hearts actually in the movie theater back when it was new.
Gosh, I wish I could go back in time and like experience that.
And I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what the movie was about. I knew it took place in the 50s, and I love nostalgia movies. And the music, I knew there was a lot of Patsy Cline music in it. So I really went to see it for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was married at the time to a man.
What?
So
What?
yes, I was. And
was it date night?
It was date night.
Oh.
That's brilliant.
To my, surprise, this was not about Patsy Cline music
And delight.
And I was, back in it was 1985 that movie came out, or was it 89, somewhere around there?
Yeah, it was 85.
That was pretty 89, right? Was it?
No,
89?
it was 85.
85.
Yes.
That was pretty groundbreaking for back then, to be in the movie theaters, in a regular movie theater, so I remember seeing that, and that was right around the time where I was discovering, I was probably up playing for the wrong team. So the movie was like, wow, this was so cool to see this in the movies. And so I looked, and there it was. It was on, I think it was on HBO. I forgot where I found it on HBO, right? And I watched it again, and I was like, oh my God, I like the way you mentioned how the first scene, she's going backwards, like in the car, like to catch up. Like that was like, I probably didn't realize that at the time, but that was really a good observation that it ends the same way, only
Mhm.
she's walking backwards this time away from her
Yeah.
and it ends up with her. So yeah, that was I really enjoy your personal take on these
Thank
movies
you.
and what you bring to
Oh,
that.
shucks.
Yeah.
It's fun
I
because don't you feel like I don't know, Jay, like because we're a little bit older, I love getting a young person's fresh perspective on movies that we, have seen. And Ari, the funniest thing is when you said the same 6 movies,
Mhm.
I feel like in my late 20s, early 30s, I probably watched the same 6 movies over and
Yeah.
over and over again, right? It's in the
Right.
Water, Better Than
Mhm.
Chocolate, Desert Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a handful, Elena in Love. Um,
Mhm.
just like,
Carol.
yeah,
Was Carol out then? I don't remember.
Carol was 2015,
Carol
but maybe,
was
maybe like
recent.
Liana or something. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I feel like we did because there just wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
content then. Like, and then in my mid 30s, late 30s, I think, I became friends with Kristen Baker, who started
Mhm.
Tello Films.
Oh,
And
no way.
yeah, and I was doing my monthly subscription and I felt like it was my own private content.
Mhm.
And I wanted other people to see this stuff.
Mhm.
Like there were some really good web series back then, like
Mhm.
Roommates with Julie Goldberg, one of my
Oh,
all-time
love.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, all-time favorites. But it's fun to be along for the ride to see the new things that have been coming out lately.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, my friend was just here an hour ago, and she's flying out to LA at the end of December to work with Jill Bennett and Lauren Neal. They have a new film coming out.
Jill Bennett, the
Yeah,
great Jill. Oh my God, I love Jill
she
Bennett.
stays with me when she comes to London.
So
She's her
cool.
fan.
Yeah. So Jill
Six
and
degrees
Jill's
from
wife,
Denise.
6 degrees.
6 degrees.
Jill's wife Lauren, they made a movie called Under the Influencer that's coming
Mm.
out really soon. They're going to try and get on the film festival circuit first.
Oh.
And that movie it's so different than anything I've ever seen because it's about
Mm.
NFT art
Oh,
and
interesting.
intellectual property and how much
Mm.
of that do you own and who can take it and who
Yeah.
can, it's really it's an absolute thriller. It's unlike anything I've seen,
Yeah.
especially Jill, doing her stuff's always been so lighthearted and everything. And
Yeah.
um the progress, that's been made and the things that are out
Right.
there. And even in Kristen Baker's holiday movies, like I feel like every year now I'm looking forward, to
Oh yeah,
tell,
I've seen them all.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, think about like The Happiest Season with,
Mhm.
Kristen Stewart when that came out,
Yes.
and Dan Levy, like the
Yes.
big name people that are getting involved now. So I
100%.
feel like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And like if I were you,
Mhm.
right now, I would be overwhelmed, you know,
Mhm.
like the stuff
Right.
that's out
Right.
there, like trying to
Yeah.
keep up
Yeah.
with it. So do you have like a list that you have to see versus
Mm.
what you've seen?
So I actually have I think this is in the pinned Instagram video I have, but I actually have two different databases. One is like a film database of like lesbian movies. And that is based on info I've kept since I was 15. And the other is like a TV, like current TV shows that have lesbian or queer women characters. The movie one, it has like, 850 entries on it. Like there are a
That's
lot of movies out
fantastic.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen, I think like over 350 of them, which is like sometimes like that's a lot of movies, but part of me is like, there's so many more to see out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because it is like a great time. Like there is a lot of new content. So I go to that database a lot, but then I also have my list of like these are the films that are being released like this year that I need to see. And
Yeah.
that's super exciting because they're like, oh my gosh, there are like 25 movies. featuring queer women that I need to see. How do I watch those movies? How do I find a way to see those movies? And like, that was not true even 10 years ago, that there would
Oh,
be
totally.
25 movies
Yes.
be
Yes.
going to theaters and major streaming services that you could see. So that's an awesome, it's just like a great thing about being a queer woman today, is that there is a lot more content, but a lot of, especially young queer women, just like don't realize that there's like a lot of great content out there.
True. You don't
Yeah,
know
and that's
where
part
to
of why
find-
I'm like, you
Yeah.
gotta look a little bit.
You got to do
How
a little digging. You
impressive.
got to do a little homework. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how impressive that you have this database. Like I thought the time that has gone into that and the research is
Mhm.
just really amazing, and obviously such a passion of yours. But I
Yeah.
guess my question, I have two questions for you. One question is, does your wife share this? Like, does she watch because it was funny, like the fried green tomatoes thing was funny. How she's like,
Mhm.
I hated it. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so like, does she want to? Is she like all as enthusiastic about this as you are with this, or is she
Mm.
like, oh God, I don't know if I could watch one more movie?
She's more the latter, I have to say. She is not like, she's just in general not like a film person. Like she
Yeah.
reads a lot, she watches TV, but she's also not a film person like I grew up as a film person. And so that's like the biggest difference. So like we'll watch a lot of TV shows together, but she's just constantly like, oh, I'm not in the mood to watch a movie. And I have
Yeah.
to like, and it's very rarely that I'm like, my love, please watch this movie with me. Like the only reason we were able to watch Fried Green Tomatoes is because her parents were in town, and like we talked about
Oh.
Fried Green Tomatoes, and her parents were like, "Oh, Fried Green Tomatoes, I love that movie," and we're like, let's all watch it together. The only way I could convince her to watch that movie was because all three of us like bullied her into
Got
watching.
outvoted.
Now
Yeah.
you know the secret formula.
Yeah, but
Very
there
cool.
are some movies where I'm like, she still hasn't seen Desert Hearts. Like that's a movie that I'm
Oh.
like, I know she's got to see that, but
Wow.
she has been able to like watch some movies, like some classics that I love, like, you know, Saving Face is one that like we both really loved, and like stuff like that. But she definitely is like, I'll watch some maybe, but she has to be in like the right mood. And but that's not to say she doesn't watch them. She's watched plenty, and like on TikTok, I've made videos where she talks about her favorite movies that I've made her favorite lesbian movies I've made her watch, and like the lesbian movies I made her watch that she like can't stand, because often I'm like, let's watch a lesbian movie today. I don't know what this one's about, but let's watch it. And sometimes it's a stinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's very kind of her that she goes with me on that journey.
That's
I think
so
that's great. That's great.
That's
And
great.
my other question, are you aware that Hallmark now has lesbian characters in their Christmas movies?
Am
Because
I?
Denise's it's I think it's great. I mean, but that's like only in the last couple of years, but in
Yes.
the beginning they were always like the side character, like the sister or the friend or the
Right.
coworker. Now this year they're starting to be the main story, which I think is great. And
Yes,
so,
Friends and Family Christmas is coming
all
up.
right, so you are aware of the whole Hallmark.
I do. I try to keep abreast of lesbian media news. Like that's is my thing. And I think it was 2021. 2021 Hallmark released Every Time a Bell Rings, which is a Christmas movie. It's about three sisters. One of the sisters is a lesbian. My wife and I genuinely enjoy that movie. And then they also had another movie that's not a Christmas movie, but is another romance movie called Love Classified that also had a lesbian couple as the main couple. And so now Friends and Family Christmas is like the first Hallmark movie that there's just, I believe there's just going to be one central couple, and it's going to be that couple, that lesbian couple.
Oh, great.
Man, I keep telling Kristen Baker, you like, watch out, Hallmark's on your tail.
Yeah. Well, Tello has definitely been like taking the lead, which I appreciate. Yeah, I think that's something, because I get a lot of requests on TikTok. Can can you give me a list of movies with lesbian movies with this or this kind of lesbian movies?
Yeah.
And there's always like, can you give me a list of like lesbian Christmas movies? And I've seen every lesbian Christmas movie out there. There are like over 30 of them. But there's only a handful that I think are like really, really like will get you in the heart and
Yeah,
get
that
you
are worth
into the spirit.
recommending. Right, right.
Yeah.
So do you feel
Yeah.
like it's your movies aside,
Yeah.
TV?
Mhm.
You know, I feel like there's lesbians on pretty much everything nowadays.
Yes.
But are you on that bandwagon of stop killing off the lesbian characters? Like, because now I see that curve changing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I'm a little bit more I'm a bit more bullish on this because the spreadsheet I have that has all of the TV shows that are currently running, just the TV shows that are currently running in 2023 with queer women. There are over like 200 TV shows just running this year across different platforms and different networks. And so to me, I understand. I don't know. It's like it's a part of like rectifying a huge historical injustice of like queer people being killed off
Right.
unjustly, and it's not as if that doesn't happen in modern times. However, I also feel like we are really getting to a point where there's a lot of representation of queer women on TV that is full, that is very layered and interesting. And so I'm not as upset. I'm not as upset about that anymore. I'm not even as upset with like TV shows about queer women getting canceled as much as others are. I do think there is an interesting trend of how like it seems like a lot of the characters and shows that queer women specifically get attached to might be killed off or might be canceled. But overall, the playing field is so much more level than it has ever been. And that just brings me so much joy. So like I'm not as focused on like, okay, some queer characters are still being killed off, some of these shows are still being canceled. Cause like there's so many more out there to go to now.
It's like for every one that gets canceled, there's two more coming. You know, for every character that gets killed off, there's 10 more in different series.
Exactly.
So
and some networks doing this better than others.
It's definitely taking the sting out of it because
100%. It totally takes the sting out of it.
Yeah. I just find that like almost everything I watch, I realize, and the cool thing is that it almost doesn't phase you now. You know,
yes.
You're watching Station 19 and it doesn't phase you that there's lesbians or Grey's Anatomy, and I think, I mean, I got to give Grey's Anatomy credit because when Sarah Ramirez left and then Arizona left, it was just like, oh, great. Like now what? No, they just keep it going,
Right.
The newest batch of interns, you got Helm, it's just, so it's like, I give them credit for kind of getting the ball rolling for network television, not so much a streaming platform, but for network television to be putting that right in your face. And then to carry on with it when these characters were left and they not being killed off, just left, they open for return if they want, but
100%.
So I kind of like that feeling that it's there, it's on network TV, not a streaming platform, and it just seems so much more common that it doesn't give people a lot of cause for pause to make them think.
Absolutely.
It's kind of woven right into it so naturally and organically that people don't seem, if you're not part of 1 million moms, you're really not going to have a problem with it.
I do think there is still, there is like a lot of annoying, like people will still complain that queer characters exist on TV. They will claim it is too woke, it is unrealistic, etc. But I do think that what I really love, again, there are 200 TV shows right now that feature queer women. That was not true 10 years ago. That was not even as true 5 years ago. But because a lot of these production companies, they are seeing diversity as like an inherent good, an inherent value, then like it's going to normalize it, and eventually like the people who are annoyed by it, they're going to get over it. But
Mhm.
I think as much as historically, like, yeah, I don't want to diminish the pain that people feel when like a queer character dies or a show get canceled, but I'm still very heartened that there are just so many options right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
love that.
mean,
Love that.
I think it's great that someone so young, as you are, gets this because, back when Desert Hearts was in the movies in 1985,
Mhm.
that was so like almost shocking, like to see that in on the big screen in a regular movie theater. Like it wasn't
Right.
like a special cabled show or whatever.
Right.
And so like I think that it's for people like for Denise and I, people our age, and I'm a little older than Denise. I guess I'm the oldest one. It's nice to see now that it's not as unusual, even though it's still not as accepted as we would like it to be.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually there. It's a thing, and I was surprised that there was lesbian character in, is it The Young and the Restless with
Yes,
Erica
The
Kane?
Young and the Restless.
Yeah, I never knew that because I never watched
And
that
All
one.
My
I was
Children, back when I used to watch All My Children, Erica's daughter.
Oh my god. Yeah, All My
Right?
Children.
a
All my
white person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Soap
didn't have
operas.
anybody
Yeah.
on the like,
Daytime
but
TV in a
they,
lot of ways were more progressive than primetime TV.
Yeah,
yeah,
like Days of Our Lives still has like their gay boys on there all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy to me because that demographic it fluctuates to
yeah,
your grandmother to
right,
teenagers in
right,
college. You know what I
right.
mean?
Coming home from school, watching it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, in this day and age, you still have the grandmothers and the college
Right.
kids. It's such a
yeah,
Yeah.
vast, but yeah, they've really they're running with it. I like that. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I think like, we were just talking about like 1985 when Desert Hearts came. That was a big year because I think that if I'm not mistaken, JD, when we had the 80s ladies, the 80s TV ladies on
Mhm.
the podcast, or when we were on theirs, I don't remember, but we
Yeah,
were talking about the difference in LGBTQ representation in the 80s versus now, whereas in the 80s it was always part of a punchline,
right.
like
And actually, there were a handful of shows like All in the Family took on that subject,
yeah,
and the Golden Girls actually, when they
right,
had one
right.
episode where
And then,
Dorothy's
and there was stuff
friend.
that in prime time, like on LA Law, like Susan Day, the first, girls
Classic first
kissing,
lesbian kiss on US
right?
television. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we were saying how, it was sitcoms handled it like a joke,
Hmm.
like Norm pretending to be gay to get an interior,
Right, right,
kind
right.
of thing. And then primetime was handling it in a more, let's get ratings, let's see if this works for
Mhm.
sweeps week kind
Right.
of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, so if you look at the progression between then and now, how it is so natural, organic, to have a lesbian character, a gay character, it's even a trans character, I mean, we're starting to see a lot of that, and it's,
Yes.
it just feels like we're going in the right direction for a
100%.
Mhm.
change,
Yeah.
like, because I know there's a lot of people advocate for, the reality, like they want to see the grit and they want to see the journeys and they want to, they want a backstory and, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know that we're there yet. I think they sometimes just want to just drop one in and see how it goes without all that, and then we'll get
Yeah.
to that. So, but I feel like we're in the right, we're
Yeah.
going in the right direction, and that's, I don't remember being able to say that, like even
Yeah.
just 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we're
true.
really
That's
coming a
true.
long way. It must be really interesting research, that you have compiled. Like you've got a curated set of movies, television. Do you get a lot of your information from other databases like GLAD?
I try to I go on like a lot of different LGBT media websites to see what they're tracking. I also just have news alerts for like any kind of queer LGBT film. I go to like like Deadline or other entertainment sites that might have it. And now I've been very fortunate, and now like sometimes people reach out to me to let me know that like, hey, there's this film that we're making, it's coming.
That's great. Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. So it's definitely a lot of like, I gotta search in a bunch of other places. And also people on TikTok or Instagram are also very kind, and they'll be like, hey, did you hear about this film, TV show, movie, piece of theater, that kind of thing. So I try to go from as many sources as I can.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of pokers in the fire, big time.
What is it that you do in theater? You said you work in theater?
Yeah, so I'm mostly a theater director. I'm also like a dramaturg. I'm a sound designer. I've stage managed before. I do like a lot of things. Directing is my main thing, but it's my big passion. And I also really enjoy lesbian plays. Like on TikTok, I have a series where for a full month, like I just talked about plays about queer women. Because I also am like, there are so many other forms of media.
Yeah. Like when I was growing up, I think the only one I knew of was Last Summer at Bluefish Cove.
Yes, and I still haven't made a video about that, but I should.
The only one.
Yeah.
But
it's so sad.
I know. There's a lot more, and I don't know, because maybe being over here, I'm in London, and the West End it's very traditional. So
my wife and I were just in London this summer.
Really?
Yeah, we just for a day. We were mostly going to Ireland, but we were in London for a day, and we did see a couple shows at the West End.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's really neat. But there's some progressive, interesting little theaters there that do, like Soho Theater is one of my favorites. I think, like that's probably the best way to describe like a basement theater kind of thing.
Yes,
and they're really cool, but there are so many good plays that start off there, and if they get enough attention and there is enough buzz about it, they'll make that move to the West End. But it is hard to make that jump because, like I said, I think the West End is so tightly traditional.
Yes, totally.
But it's again it's coming a long way. It's still, it's still worth the price of admission.
I mean, tickets there are still like much cheaper than like on Broadway in the US, which I appreciate.
Yeah, big time. So it's a blessing. But I guess the thing of it is we have to look at it in a way that, like, in the 80s and 90s, there weren't a lot of different platforms either.
Yes.
Like now we have streaming services, we have online, you can watch a movie on YouTube, you can watch a movie on video, we can, wherever a production team decides to put that movie out, there's just so many different avenues. Whereas before, if it wasn't in a theater or a cinema, or a theater like that, those were your only
100%.
Even HBO wasn't making their own things then. They were just rights to things to show,
I think to sorry, JD, did you have something to say?
No, I would say it's a lot.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, yes, I think it's like both it's a double-edged sword in a way. Like there's so many streams of content out there, so many places to go, but now it's like, oh no, there's so many places to go. How do you decide? How do you decide? It's very expensive to like have access to all of these things as well. It makes it can make it tough for people. And again, that's why I feel very strongly as like a lesbian media enthusiast person to be like, here are the places where you can go find this
That's what I
TV
mean.
show.
Like having someone do the work for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you're literally doing the work for us. Like,
That's what I
it's a
loved about your
blessing.
page.
It's an absolute
Yeah.
blessing, you know? Especially like JD watches stuff from 20 years ago, you know? I'll tell her, like, you know, like, have you seen Ted Lasso? Have you seen this? And she goes, no, I'm rewatching the L Word. Or,
The
no,
first
Look.
time around.
I
Or
wa-
queer.
Look, I never go a year without rewatching the entirety of the L Word. All right, like it still slaps.
I think I'm
Were
going to
you
be that way with, like,
surprised?
what's that, Jay?
Oh, I was going to ask Ari if she was surprised that you seem to have gotten a great response to what you're doing, because I see you have a lot of followers, and like, did you think that you were going to have that much? Because like Denise said, like, you're doing the work for us to help us know what's out there. What did we miss? You
Mhm.
reminded me of Desert Heart, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
are you surprised at what a great reception you're getting at this work? Because it's got to be a lot of work what you're doing. It's got to be hours of research and
Uh,
getting it out there.
Yeah, in a way, like, yeah, of course. I'm a little surprised. I think I'm surprised because now, like, people will like take my, I don't know, they'll like take my advice or take my words seriously of like, I think this is a movie you should watch or something. And to me, I'm like, I have to be very careful about what I say, as you were just talking about, Denise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know, like, there are TV shows and movies which like I've made videos on certain pieces of media that I know the people who worked on that piece of media watched my videos. That makes me very cautious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also that means that, because, like when I was 15, there wasn't anybody telling me what to watch and where to watch it. The closest was like AfterEllen.com, which,
Right.
like, as a
Right.
teenager, I
Bible.
devoured.
Yes.
But like after Ellen then kind of like fell off a cliff, and so there just like wasn't really a lot of like places for that. So I am trying to be like, all right, what are the things that like my 15-year-old self really could have used to find the kind of movies that like
Right.
really would have helped her and really would have
I like that you're direct and you're honest. Because what I find is that everybody is looking for like a little like a niche. So I was friends with Brooke Levin for a long time that did Autostraddle. Changed hands, a lot now.
right.
But the current editor will, take a handful of gummies and review movies stoned. So, I mean, that's a very niche kind of way of reviewing movies, So everybody has their little, gimmicks that they're trying to see what works. But I feel like yours, it's pure. It's very pure. You're not,
Yeah, she's not
there's no
stoned.
gimmick there. There's no gimmick there. There's just a passion for what like you said, for what you wanted back, as a youngster, what you could have used.
Right.
But what you don't get is that you're serving us older people too.
Mhm.
So the up and comers are like, oh, great. Someone's recommending this movie. I didn't know what I wanted to see. I knew I wanted to see something. To us, right? It's like,
Yeah.
this is so good to not have to, wonder and guess and, not know what's out there or feel like you're losing, like sometimes I just like think to myself, I haven't had a lesbian thought all day today. Like like not a movie, nothing. Like my whole day goes by and I'm like, am I really gay? But like that's what I love is that you're doing, that work that normally I'd be sitting there on my couch trying to find, especially because we do a podcast. So I feel like we're always having to look and it's just nice when you find someone. There's a trust there, like your viewers trust you.
Yeah. I appreciate that because I do often this is part of just like what my following is. It's like 50% of my following is like under 25. And so
Right.
often I think about the younger people here, but I do think it's very valid to also think about folks who are my age and older, who maybe have either forgotten some of these hidden gems or also still searching for like some really good, for some
Right.
really
Right.
good content.
And you know, a lot of it too is that like we were saying after Ellen, just fell off the cliff,
Yeah.
lesbian.com gone, all
Yeah.
these things got sold, got absorbed into bigger media,
Right.
mainstream kind of, things,
Yeah.
and you don't know where to look anymore.
Totally.
Really
Totally.
don't know where to look anymore. And
Yeah.
a lot of people have said, you know what, I'm just going to listen to podcasts now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's getting to be like a super oversaturated market. We know the competition is fierce, but it's so not only are platforms and streamers and networks and everything changing, and there's so much online content that
Mhm.
it's overwhelming, but it's the same like feeling of where do I go to find that
Yeah.
information now. So
Yes.
quick little TikTok things are great for
Yeah.
people that don't have a lot of time, that don't
100%.
have that time to search and look, and
Right. Right.
Yeah. I think also, yes, 100%. I definitely want it to be something where like if you just like looking for something to watch, I want to be very quick to find videos. I have different playlists, but also, that's part of why I have these databases of just like, you don't necessarily have to take my word for it. You can go find what you think will appeal to you and just go from there. Just having, I think just having like, a centralized database, a centralized list is helpful enough, I hope.
I wish
Yeah.
I was that organized.
I had no idea there were so many movies actually, like even though
Yes.
some of them date back from before your time, I didn't even know they were there. Like
Yeah.
it's nice. Like I did a deep dive into your page then and into your link tree to see what else your other places that your other platforms that you're on. So yeah, I have to say I do like, I think, my 2 cents. The the input of your wife every once in a while is great. Like for the people watching, like I just thought that was so funny. And it's like I scrolled a little to see what else did her wife have to say about this stuff, and then like I didn't see much. So I'm like, when she's on the show, I'm going to ask her. Is this something that she's into, or is it like, oh God, I have to
Yeah.
watch another movie? But
Yeah.
I just think that overall, when I found what you were doing, I think it's a great service, like Denise said, to so many of us who don't have the time to look for that or didn't know.
Right.
Like I said, I had no idea there was so much out there.
And the best part
Right.
of it is
Yeah.
it's at your fingertips. It's like you don't have to pull out a laptop if you don't want to. You don't have, it's just you're just there anyways. So
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Do you have thoughts like down the road? Is there a way to monetize this? Could this be your job at some point, or you wouldn't give up theater, would you?
I mean, in a lot of ways, it kind of is my job in a lot of ways. I actually was like laid off earlier this year. And so and because of my theater career and commitments, I can't really get like another like full-time, part-time job right now. And so a lot of like making videos that is like a source of income for me.
Great.
In terms of like long-term monetization, ideally I'd like to make a Patreon of some kind. I'm trying to like get like a YouTube channel started. I'm trying to like just make more thoughtful long form content. Going back to like, the name of the Critical Lesbian is because I want to put more of a critical analysis and lens into lesbian media that I think will just offer more legitimacy to it and more the deserved analysis that it should have. And so I'm hoping that I can do something like that. I'm very passionate that like I don't want to like charge people to like use the databases or anything. I'm more like those are free resources for people to use, but like I'm hoping that I can create enough of like a base to maybe have some kind of like, I don't know, Patreon membership service, just to
Yeah,
like
great.
to have
Yeah.
like more in-depth thoughts, to have more like a stronger relationship with people who are very much interested in this niche.
I tell you what, you got a home on my audio feed.
Thank you.
See?
Maybe I
See?
know I need to like make a Substack or something. I'm coming up with ideas. I think, to me, very transparently, I just have to figure out like what is more, like what do I think I can achieve? Is it a Substack? Is it a YouTube channel? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have
Daunting a little bit sometimes because there's so many possibilities,
right.
yet
Right.
which direction do you take so you don't waste time going down the wrong road? Oh, that's
Absolutely.
more, you know.
Intern for that we had when we were doing the Lesbian Lounge, we had an intern that was helping us with production. And she asked me, can I do a half an hour podcast and put it, and put it up on our feed? Because we have built-in subscribers, so it definitely behooves anybody to be on our
Mhm.
stream. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And she started doing these like movie reviews. And she called it movies a la queer, I think. And it was like really amazing to me to see the way like it caught on.
Yeah.
But then her production skills got so good that she didn't really, have time to do a lot of them, and it just kind of dropped off. But it was nice because it, like you said, it's when you trust somebody, like we trusted her, we didn't have to edit anything. We knew that she was taking care of everything, putting it together, piecing it together, picking really good films, going out of her way to go see some of them, at festivals and stuff like that. And then coming back and putting together like just a half an hour deep, like you said, like a deep dive, big analysis of them.
Yeah.
But what would be really great too is to have the engagement, like
Yeah.
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 like a live conversation, like a roundtable conversation about a movie that
Oh
3 or
yeah.
4 people
Yeah.
have
I
seen,
like that.
and
Yes.
that's one of those things that it's just, that would be amazing. I would love to get something like that on our feed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I certainly have. I would love to do like, I don't know, like it could be like online screenings where like people could just drop in to like watch a movie and then we just like talk about it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like stuff like
Yeah.
that I think would be delightful.
It'd be so fun. And your wife wouldn't even have to do it because
Yeah, like the
someone else would be
people
there.
on the couch.
If it's a movie she likes, maybe she'll drop in. I do also love including her on
Yeah.
videos, and people, many of my followers are big fans of her, which I agree.
Cute. That is so cute. Because you reached, how long ago, how long have you been married?
Well, you can
In
let her
fact,
know
today
that
today is our
JD's
2-year anniversary of our wedding.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Oh,
So you got legit
yes.
married 2 years ago, but how long have you
Yes.
been together?
We have been 5 years. We had our legal ceremony 2 years ago, and then we had like our big public wedding 6 months later. So we technically celebrate 2 anniversaries a year because they're exactly 6 months apart. But
Yeah.
this is like the legal real anniversary.
Oh,
I
that's
like
fantastic.
that.
Well, geez, we'll let you go.
Congratulations. Thank you for being here
Oh,
today
God,
on your
probably whipping
anniversary.
up some. She's probably making you fried green tomatoes right now.
She should. It's a great
You can
movie.
let-
Anyone who hasn't watched that movie, you gotta see it.
That's now that I watched Desert Hearts, I'm gonna have to watch that one tonight.
Please. It still
There you go.
slaps. It still slaps.
Yeah,
You can let her
it's so
know.
true. Some stuff, it amazes me that
Right?
it's still relevant.
Yes.
It's relevant and timely.
It still works.
It doesn't fade away. It doesn't
100%.
yeah, it just doesn't fade to black. It's right up there. It's still good.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
great.
for
Listen,
what it's worth, because I don't know that this was freezing up on me in spots, so I don't know if I got through what I was saying, but for what it's worth, let your wife. What is your wife's name? I'm sorry, I didn't get
KJ.
KJ. Right, KJ. I knew they were initials.
Yeah.
Let KJ know that JD wants to see a little more of her
You got it.
and her opinions on your page.
that's so cute.
You got it. I will definitely let her know.
Well, we wish you a happy anniversary and all
Thank
the
you.
luck in the world
Thank
with
you
this,
for being
because I
here.
think it's just a fantastic project that you've leapt into. It's great.
Appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Thank you both
absolutely.
so much for having me.
Oh,
Thank you.
we appreciate your time on your anniversary.
Your anniversary.
All right, go have a good night.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Why do you always run?
Like, never stop chasing your dreams.
We drank way too much whiskey.
That's see? See?
My addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You look at me and in my eyes you see the hurt I can't disguise. I want you. And though it seems I look right through, I'm noticing your every move. She's got you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. I turn away to mask the pain, but jealousy reveals my rage and madness. And knowing you can read my mind consumes me in a shameful kind of sadness. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You are my drug, my ever waking need. I got you in my blood. You've got me on my knees. Why do you always run back to the love you once knew? You're addicted to her touch.